Welcome to the Over 40 Alpha Podcast with your host, Funk Roberts.
We are live, and welcome to the Over 40 Alpha Podcast. This is episode number 117, and I'm your host, Funk Roberts, former professional athlete turned online fitness expert specifically for men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. And I am super excited for you to be here today because we are going to talk with another awesome fitness expert in this niche, helping men over 40 completely transform their bodies and doing it in a fantastic system, a fantastic way. And it's funny, like if you're listening to this right now, one of the things that I like to do on this podcast, share, my tips and strategies, but also bring to you other people within the industry, health, fitness, nutrition, what have you, who are actually helping men, right? Because I know, and you know, that it is difficult to find information that's geared towards us. There's a lot of information out there too, mind you, right? But we have to be selective and we have to think about, okay, is he talking to me as a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old or a 60-year-old or a 70-year-old? Or is he talking to the masses in the sense that, okay, I'm talking to guys in their 20s and 40s, and because a 20-year-old man, a 20-year-old guy who, has different goals than a 30-year-old guy who has different goals than someone who's in their 40s or 50s or 60s, and the same with women. For instance, if I'm a 20-year-old guy, my goal is to get jacked so I can look great at the clubs, right? My goal is to get big and build that muscle. I also have different, my physiological makeup is different. I can recover faster. I can probably build muscle easier using the more generic workout system. But when I turn 30, in my early 30s, I may be a father, a new father. And now my goals aren't about being jacked for the club because I'm married, I've got a new kid, or, I've got a family, I'm in the corporate world, I've got a job. So now my goals are going to be a little bit different. You can't talk to me about getting jacked in the gym the way you talk to the 20-year-olds that you're talking to me, guy working in the finance world, busy with a newborn and, my corporate job, trying to put money on the table. But when I reach 40, now I'm in a different role because now my body's not even reacting to the way that I used to react. If I go into the gym and start working out again, or I'm feeling sluggish or I'm feeling slow, I don't know what's happening to my body. I have, my kids are a little bit older maybe, and I've got the dad role, and the husband role, or just the dad role. I got that down. I've been practicing that for 10 years. Now I'm 40, 43, 44, and now my body's just not reacting the same way. No energy. And when I'm 60 and 70, now I want to get up every day. I don't want to be sore. I don't want to have pain. I want to be able to hike. I want to be able to do things that, without having any barriers. So as you can see, if someone's talking one specific thing that doesn't align with who you are at your age, 40, 50, 60, and of course, even from 40 to 60, there's some differences in there. But generally speaking, 40, 50, 60, 70, we're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to get you, build muscle, lose that weight, naturally increase testosterone, balance your hormones, improve your energy, teach you about these habits that will make you a better man, provide, protect, procreate. And so me bringing you people who understand that is important to me, because there is a lot of information out there, and I'm not saying that information is wrong, and I'm also not saying some of that information won't work for a guy in his early 40s, because a guy in his early 40s can has more recovery and can still probably work out 4 to 5 times a week than a guy who's late 40s. But we don't want to create habits that aren't sustainable. So I try to bring these guys to you, or these women to you, or these professionals to you who understand where we're coming from. And today I'm excited because I've got Marc Perry from Built Lean. In fact, he's been in the game since 2010. That's like 13 years online. And 13 years online is like 50 years in fitness. Truly it is, because remember, online you can reach way more people. And so he's been in the game. He's done, his personal training but it's amazing because his fame in the fitness industry has been huge. And again, I followed this guy way back in the day, but he used to be a young financial analyst, worked on Wall Street and transformed his own body that from, being overweight, being lethargic, obviously working in that industry, the finance industry on Wall Street is going to be pretty high pressure, pretty high stress. And so I'm sure there's a lot of mental and emotional stress that need to happen, that goes on. And so he discovered how to, transform his body, his discipline, his self-control, his persistence, and all of that transformation, along with him transforming his brother's body, helped him to Built Lean, which is a 12-week program. And it's huge. I mean, it's been on Fox, on NBC, on CBS. He's been, in publications like Men's Health and Men's Journal and Business Week. And he's actually a Yale lacrosse player, which he'll talk about. But the fact that he has transformed so many bodies and, working with financial men in the finance industry, or men who are executives, who have those busy lives, and helping them to transform, but understanding that in their 40s, 50s, 60s, you have to go a little bit different. So I'm really excited for Marc to talk about his journey and also to share with him his tips, his tricks, and things that he's been able to teach his clients, his members and his customers of the Built Lean crew, how to transform their body, like 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds. In fact, this morning, I got an email sent to me from Marc, because I'm on his email list. I always also tell people to get on people's email list for sure. Because again, they're going to share information specifically for us. But I was on his email list, and there was an email that came through on someone who had literally transformed their lost, like, the transformation was amazing. The transformation was amazing. And you know me, I know transformations. I see there's a few people out there in the industry who can truly say they know I'm not saying, no, I'm going to say this blank face statement. There are a few people out there who know what it means to transform people's lives on a massive scale. Like, they know that because they've done it over and over and over again. There's people that come to my mind right off the bat. Kino Body, Greg, and his transformations of his clients and people who use his programs are insane. The guys who use his programs the young guys who use his programs are amazing, but I know he knows transformations. He knows that. And so, when I saw this transformation come into my inbox, I was like, woo-wee. This is amazing. This guy looks fantastic. And the timeline that he did it in and what he overcame was amazing. So I'm excited for me to share with you Marc Perry. You can look him up, builtlean.com. I always advise you to go to their email, get on their email list so you can get information from them, because they're sharing things that will help you as a man transform your life in whatever way. So enjoy this podcast episode with Marc Perry from Built Lean, and I'll see you on the other side. Listen up, my brother. If you're over the age of 40, 50, 60, or beyond, and your six-pack is actually looking like a party-sized keg, then I've got a solution for you. You see, my Over 40 Alpha workout, nutrition, and brotherhood program is the only program on the planet where the word dad bod is like a 4-letter word. See, we're not just a program. We're a worldwide movement of over 16,000 men just like you. And when I say just like you, I mean guys who still feel like they're 25 in their heads, but their bodies keep asking, are you sure about that? See, I created this program specifically for men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond to help burn belly fat, to help build muscle, to help improve strength, to help boost energy, to help boost that libido, and also naturally increase your testosterone levels. But aside from that, this program is also helping you regain your manhood, improve your fitness, and get you into the best health you've ever been. And with a Trust Pilot score of 4.9, we're obviously doing something right. This program's got over 36 phases. That's 3 years of progressive programming. Imagine that. You have a university-like program specifically designed for men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, just like you, that's going to help you get those results. No more wrestling with the pickle jar. No more trying to figure out what workouts to do and what program to use and stopping and starting. No more second guessing. Because not only am I going to give you follow along workouts where you're going to train right beside me. Listen, we're going to sweat together. I'm going to motivate you. I'm going to guide you. And together we're going to get you in the best shape of your life. But I'm also going to hook you up with a nutrition plan specifically designed for men to help you increase your testosterone, fuel your body with the foods that will help you get in the best shape and health of your life. But also, I'll tell you when to eat, I'll tell you what to eat, and I'll tell you how much to eat, and I'll tell you the foods to stay away from. I know it sounds a little bit overwhelming, but just think about this. You're not going to have any more second guessing whether a whole pizza actually counts as one serving. Am I going to tell you a spoiler alert? It doesn't. Anyways, I'm also going to throw recovery routines like yoga and mobility because let's face it, as we get older, as we age, getting out of bed unassisted counts as a win. Plus, I'm going to share sleep tips just to help you master the art of not snoring like a freight train and getting those 7 to 9 hours you need on a daily basis. Now, here's the cherry on top of this program. The powerful thing of this program, the Alpha Brotherhood. There's no politics, there's no religion, there's no pop culture, there's no judgment, just thousands of guys in our private Facebook group from all over the world cheering you on, helping you, guiding you, and motivating you, even while you do your birthday burpees in your living room. That's right. We actually have birthday burpees that people do on their birthday. But seriously though, listen, brother, you've been put on this earth to provide, to protect, and to procreate. And you can't do it if you're not in the best health of your life. You can't do it if your biggest exercise is lifting the remote. You have to focus on your health and your fitness for yourself, for your families, and for the people around you. So if you're ready to finally get in shape, then head over to over40alpha.com and your journey is going to start for just $1 for the first 30 days. Yes, you heard that right. All you have to pay is $1 and you will have access to the entire program for just 30 days. You'll get that fat loss shred phase where you'll get follow along workouts. You'll also get live coaching 2 times a month with the Funkster and all the other brothers. You'll get access to the private Facebook group and you'll get everything you need to get in the best shape of your life. And listen, after 30 days, if you don't like this program, you didn't get in the best shape, you can ask for a refund and we're clear. But I guarantee you, you are going to love this program. Go to over40alpha.com. Start today for just $1 for 30 days. There's no hidden fees, just $1. Give me that $1, give me 30 days, and I'm going to get you on your way to being in the best shape of your life. Go to over40alpha.com, over40alpha.com, sign up for $1, and I'll see you on the other side. Enjoy the podcast. Welcome to the Over 40 Alpha podcast. I'm excited today. You guys heard the intro, and really excited when I can talk to fitness professionals, experts, people who, are helping men, people in our niche, right? Helping men in the 40s, men 50s, men 60s with anything. You know that I love it. And I'm not the only person, thank goodness, that has stepped up and kind of understood that you guys are struggling and there needs to be more information out there. So today I'm really excited to talk to Marc Perry from Built Lean. In fact, I've been following Built Lean for a while, so I know a little bit about Marc's story from the past. He probably has no clue about that, but I do. But you guys are going to learn more about Marc Perry. So Marc, welcome to the Over 40 Alpha podcast, my brother.
I was going to say, man, thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, that's great. And let's dive right in. I'm happy you're here. Let's talk about your origin story. Like, how did you get to where you are today? Because it's pretty impressive with all the things that you've done so far in your life.
Cool, thanks, man. So, I'm from Long Island originally, and I ended up playing sports in college. I was a lacrosse player, and I know that you were a pro volleyball player, which is pretty awesome. And so, after college, I ended up kind of not being in as great shape and eating like an athlete and having a desk job when I was in finance. So I went into finance on Wall Street, New York City. Doesn't mix so well. And so I ended up gaining some weight, and I was kind of like muscle building gone wrong, and then it just gone wrong. I ended up hitting 200 pounds. I was probably 165, right? Like in college as like my fighting weight. And so I gained a bunch of weight, ended up losing it, working long hours in New York, had that lifestyle. And then so I ended up losing it all, figured out really efficient ways to stay lean and fit with a busy finance job, right? And especially that kind of urban professional lifestyle. And yeah, a few years later, so I'm probably in my mid-20s, I ended up having my brother transform his body. And I'm still in finance. I'm like thinking, the pieces started to come together. I ended up leaving finance, which was like an enormous decision for me at the time. And I ended up going down this route of helping busy professionals, mostly men, right, achieve a lean, strong, and functioning fit, even if they have a really busy job and like stressful career, all that sorts of stuff. So that's the kind of the story.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna back up because I like to dive right. I like to get to know people. So
Cool.
let's talk about lacrosse. So do you know the Gate brothers, Gary and Paul Gate?
They're like icons in the sport.
Yeah, of course, yes. Because I played a bit of box lacrosse. I'm 53. I'm 54 years old. How old are you?
I'm 41.
Okay, so yeah, I'm 54. So when I played a bit of box lacrosse, my best friend was a box lacrosse player. He actually played at Cornell, and so of course the Gate brothers were from Vancouver, so they had to play the Gate brothers all the time. And yeah, I was very, I knew a lot about lacrosse and loved that sport. So you played at Yale. So were you always athletic when you were young? Like, was that something you and your brother, I guess, or what have you?
Yeah, no, I was a super jock, right? Like that was one of my greatest passions is playing sports. And certainly when I was 16, I wanted to, build muscle, get bigger. So I started lifting, lifted in college. But yeah, I mean, sports were probably one of my main joys and passions in life. Just athletics, getting out there, competing. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, because to play lacrosse at Yale, you must have been extremely good.
Oh, I was an All-American in college. I was an All-American in high school, right? Like I worked hard and fortunately, knock on wood, I had some natural talents, athletic abilities, but I also worked hard at it. And I was among the best in my age group, on Long Island.
For sure. Okay, so when you're in college, and now you're going to Ivy League college, so it's not just any old college. What was your goal? Like, was it because there wasn't really a lot of like professional lacrosse at that time. I don't think there was at that time. Oh, maybe there was actually, because you're actually 41, so maybe there was professional lacrosse. Was your goal to continue on your lacrosse career? Was it to go into the finance, which you did? Like, what was that goal when you were like literally deep diving, playing lacrosse, going to school, Ivy League, Mark? What's going on there?
That's a great question. And like, I wish I could say I had like this specific goal. Like my goal since I was a little kid was I wanted to get in the best college I possibly could while playing lacrosse. Okay. Turned out that happened, right? Like, I'm not kidding. I literally looked at Harvard and Yale. It sounds absurd, but like, that's the two schools I looked at. And I'm like, okay, I ended up getting into Yale, but that was my intention. Like once I was in college, I'm like, I just want to perform as high as I can at a high level as I can in everything I'm doing. I've got some focuses, like I was a history major, but I didn't know, I want to be this, when I grow up. Like I didn't quite have that. And so like Yale is like a liberal arts education, which means it's kind of loose in terms of like what you get to study. Like you can choose what you want. Right. And so my intention or my focus was like, I just want to do the best I can and then figure things out. And I was part of the Yale Entrepreneurial Society. Okay. And I ended up going to finance with the thought or the idea that I really want to be an entrepreneur one day and build an incredible business that helps people improve. It may not be in fitness. I didn't know, but I wanted to be an entrepreneur one day. I did know that in
Okay.
college.
So now you're out of college. You're on Wall Street now. So now we're going high level to high level, which makes sense,
Right.
right? High level university, high level Wall Street. But now you're in Wall Street, and I'm sure the pressure and the high stress that goes on. What happens to your body? What happens to your life? Like how does that work out while you're out there? Because if you're so focused on going to practice, going to school, whatever, now you're on Wall Street, you still have that high level work ethic, 100%. But what happens during that stint?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, it was a different lifestyle. Let's just say that. And so like my life was basically like I'd wake up, I'd take a subway, and then I'd get into work, and then I'd work for like 12 hours or longer, and then I'd take the subway back and come home, and I basically had like an hour to like decompress, if that.
Right.
And so like maybe 2 hours. So I'd work out like 7:30, 8 at night, and then I basically have an hour to decompress, and then I go to sleep and do it all over again 5 days a week. But again, unlike an entrepreneur, usually your weekends are a little bit off. But anyways, it was long hours during the week, very, very little time to do much of anything. And so that was a big part. And then that was a big kind of part of the lifestyle. It's just tons of work, and it's stressful, as you say. It's very high level.
Now, are you going out on the weekends? Are you drinking with your buddies? Are you trying to, like, at nighttime, like let's go, baby? Like, what? Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I was gonna say, so that's the other part of the piece of the pie is 100%. Like I drank a lot. Like now I actually don't even drink at all.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, are you like a recovering alcoholic? I'm like, no, I just don't drink alcohol. I don't know what to tell you. But like in the past, no, I was drinking a ton, right? I drank like, there were a couple of stints where I stopped, but like overall I was kind of doing the drinking, kind of early 20s, like Thursdays, maybe Fridays, even Saturdays. Then you'd have like the hangover, brunch the next. I did that whole kind of New York City urban kind of professional thing, which is like, it seems like it's what everyone does, right?
Right.
I have a different perspective now, but that's just what's customary and what everyone does.
Yeah, for sure. Specifically there, I'm sure you're just doing. So now you're. How was that for you? Like working on Wall Street and like for your. Just for your life, like in regards to, do you make a lot of money? That's number one. Number two, were you married, or did you have, a partner? Number three, physically, you told us that you gained up to 200 pounds, which makes sense.
Right.
That 100% makes sense to me when you're focused on something else 100%. But on the other end, like how was that financially and with your life and with your relationships?
Right. I mean, so I never ended up getting married or anything like that, but I dated and I had a kind of fun single kind of like, life in New York. Single meaning like not married.
Yeah, I got you.
And yeah, so in terms of gaining the weight, like I don't think I lost control. Like, so a lot of the clients we work with, they lose trust in themselves. Right? I never lost that. So I think that's important. Like there's an internal locus of control where you're like, okay, you know what? I never lost that trust and had that. I never lost trust in myself,
Right.
So yeah, I did gain weight, and it was kind of like muscle building gone wrong, and it was like I stopped caring a little bit. But like I was like, I didn't never worried. I was like, yeah, if I want to get on it, I'll get on it and I'll make it happen. So that's important because a lot of guys we work with, they've lost that trust in themselves.
Right.
And it's a little bit of a different ballgame. But I've still felt it. Like I know what it's like to kind of to feel sluggish, obviously, to not feel happy with how you look and feel. I've kind of been through that, but it's a little bit of a different level than some people that we work with.
Dude, you said something so powerful there. And I never thought of it this way, but you said something like you lose trust in yourself, because you're right. Like I've been out of shape a few times in my life based on either work or injury or whatever, but never in my wildest dreams did I think I could never get back to being in shape or being ripped, or like never. Like I'd be like, oh, I mean, it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. I have to focus. I got to get back in that mindset, but I will 100% do it.
Exactly.
But you're right. A lot of guys just lose because maybe they didn't have that in the first place. You know what I mean? Like if you've never had the ability to learn how to transform your body, or you lived in the fitness world, or you did that, then you probably would never have that trust in yourself. Does that make sense? You think?
I think that absolutely does make sense.
Yeah, right. Because it's like,
It does make sense. There are parts of life where it's like, oh yeah, I can do this, or I can make this amount of money. It's like, yeah, it's easy.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like physical fitness, they're not, you know, they don't have that same confidence in themselves.
Right. And even some people when they have confidence, what I find, the guys who were like, man, I don't know, man, I worked out all my life and then I turned 40 and like the same things that I was doing before, they weren't working. And I'm like, well, I've done this many times. And so there's that bucket. Like there's like almost 3 buckets
100%.
of people, right? of different guys. But that's usually, you said that. Okay, so we are going to get back to that. But so now what happens that transitions you from Wall Street to the fitness world, or what was the next transition out of Wall Street, and why did you leave Wall Street?
Right. You know, I think the main reason was because I did have this vision of being an entrepreneur and building a company that could really help, you know, millions of people one day. That was like my thought, or like what I wanted in my heart. Yeah. And I kind of stayed on Wall Street because like you have the golden handcuffs, you have this promise you're going to make so much money. That was part of it. And also it's like fear. It's like, I don't know. I don't, it's like, this is what everyone's doing. What, I'm going to go over here? I'm going to go down this road? No, everyone's on this road. You know, I'm sure you've been down that. So it's like, you know, I think that was a big part, is just fear of kind of going a different path, fear of like the financial implications. And then I think the really biggest thing is like, I didn't see myself as wanting to be like anyone I'd met, which says a lot. Like, and I don't mean anything bad or negative against them, but like I met the masters of the universe. Like, dude, I was working at fund of hedge funds. Like, we're talking about like the wealthiest, most successful, like people, like men and women, like just about on earth. Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, I appreciate what they've accomplished. I don't want to be like them. Yeah. I want to be like, you know, like a Richard Branson. Like, I want to be like these types of like zany, crazy entrepreneurs who come up with something they're super passionate about. And like, that's who I looked up to and I wanted to be like. And so that was my main reason why like, I'm like, I got a piece.
Yeah. You wanted to be a disruptor, like one of those, just like, I'm going to try this and
exactly,
you know,
100%.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I can see that. I have definitely been down that road where I'm just like, I mean, even though I'm making good money, I can't do this here. This is not me. I just don't feel it here.
Exactly. Right. So you don't feel like you're like leveraging your talents too.
Yeah.
Not like leverage.
Yeah. And I'm sure you learned a ton in that industry, like that's helped you now with what you're doing now. So that transition, what was it like? How does that work? Like, take us step by step on like, did you just one day go in and say, okay, I'm done? And then next thing you know, you're here? Because that's what I did. I literally walked into my president's office one day without even telling my wife. And I said, you know what? I love what you guys are doing with me here. I just won like the president's club trophy or whatever. And I said, but I'm going to do something on my own in fitness. I have more passion about it. And it's funny because he's just like, yeah, well, I was waiting for this day to happen because everyone who I worked with was on like my fitness newsletter. And, you know, every day they come up, hey man, how do I, lose this belly fat? How do I, hey, what should I be eating? Like, you know, like it's like every single day. So for me, it was like one day I came in and then I got home and told my wife, and I'm like, hey, just to let you know, I don't have a job anymore. Yeah, 100%. And she's like, well, you better get your
wife. That's a whole different dynamic too.
Yeah, she was like, you better get your ass upstairs and start working, brother. Because, but so what was it for you? What was that transition for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I remember, I was about 25, 26, and I was 26, I believe. And I started looking. So I was at this one hedge fund. I started looking around, and I remember like getting to like the second or third round of this one like job, which was like supposed to be like the best, like this amazing job, and it's like super like prestigious. And I remember just having that like feeling in my stomach, like I don't want this, right? Like I don't want to do this anymore. And then like what was crazy is within like a week, something happened in our hedge fund. They're like, you know what, we no longer need you. Okay. So I was like, okay, this is like perfect. So in other words, it was like a domino where it was almost given to me. I didn't even have to be like, okay, peace. So, but then, I mean, the following couple months, I had that gut check where it's like, okay, am I going to stay in finance or not? Right? I had to make that decision. Like, am I going to stay in that finance career? And I just had to say no. And I would say within a few weeks, I was like, this has just got to go. Although it took serious withdrawal from my BlackBerry at the time. Like, dude, when you're following the markets, it's like it's like extreme. Like it's like wired within you how you're following all the information going on. It's intense. So it took me a long time to withdraw from the markets and not constantly check on the news.
Right, because you're probably still checking just because of habit, right?
Oh, dude, it's I'm like checking all the stocks and like, my boss, like, I was assigned to, and I'm just like, it was just took a while to let that go.
Totally. Which is, again, it makes total sense. I mean, that's with anything, right? Like even with health and fitness and bad habits, it's the same thing. It's going to take some time to kind of kick those habits. Okay, so now what brings you to fitness? Because you weren't doing fitness before. I mean, you were working out, but you weren't a trainer, or you weren't maybe you were an expert, whatever. Like, so now how do you like, okay, you know what? I'm helping guys transform their lives, their bodies. How does that go? Where's take us through there.
Right. I mean, I would say since I was young, I really had a deep passion for health and fitness and wanted to get strong and muscular like you, Funk. I want to be like, hey, I want to be like Funk one day. I want to be super muscular. So maybe saw you in one of the magazines. So, but I used to go. I actually go to Venice and Gold's Gym in Venice right here, which is the Mecca. I live in Santa Monica. So, it's I was into like fitness and like, I wouldn't call it, I call it like not bodybuilding, but you know what I'm saying? Bodybuilding when I was growing up. Yeah. And so like I had that intense interest in fitness from the get-go. And then in college, I learned more with like strength conditioning. So I was super into it. But it was one of my greatest passions, if not my greatest passion, is fitness and like bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Again,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So that's how I ended up getting into it. And then, as I said, I ended up helping my brother. My brother worked out with me.
Right.
And he like radically transformed his body. He lost like 20 pounds. His like he looks super GQ when he gets in shape. It's like oh my God. Right. And so that was huge. And I'm like, I'm like, you know what? Like I could do this for the rest of my life. I could go down this path and like help other people improve their health and well-being. I came up with a concept where you actually are a trainer who works out with your client.
Right.
Elite training partners. That was my first original concept because I trained my brother. Turns out that I didn't quite appreciate how out of shape some people are.
Right.
When I first that kind of shows like how I was disconnected a bit, from like how out of shape some people are.
Totally.
And so I went on a journey to become a personal trainer. Started training people, traded my Xenia suits and IPO meetings for training people in their gyms. And that was the genesis. That's where it started. I started training people in their gyms. Then I ended up starting on the side this personal blog called Built Lean. And it's morphed into a destination that gets seen by millions of people every year.
Totally. So Built Lean, when did you launch that?
So that was in March 2010. Like I had I had a personal training practice for about a year and a half before. Yeah. And that was when I left. I left my job in about 2008. And then I left finance career, I should say, in 2008. And then in March 2010 is when I launched BuiltLean.com as like a personal fitness blog. The next thing you know, it's getting a couple hundred, hundreds of thousands of visitors a month, and things just kind of went from there.
Was there like it's so crazy how we've never like spoke in because I've been doing this since 2008, 2009, but I think probably because I was doing strength and conditioning online for men. That's our strength and conditioning for fighters. Probably that's because it's a little bit of a different thing, but it was still online, but it's really weird. But I didn't know of Built Lean. Was there like a transformation that you did that helped like blow up Built Lean? Because you've been on, you've written for magazines, you've been on Fox and NBC and ABC and like, like a fitness expert on TV. Like, was there something that kind of like just sparked it, or you know what I mean? Like, what was it? What was that catalyst?
Yeah, it's a great question. Not really. Like, I think it was just like a lot of like a consistent work in the beginning where I was just publishing articles. Like I'd work really hard on publishing an article. Yeah. I'd search Google and like find whatever the top articles were on a subject. Then I'd create one that's better. And I did that for a while. Yeah. And so then that started building our traffic. I also had a buddy who was really good with social media and like generating traffic for websites. And the combination was just really good. So we started getting a lot of traffic. And then I also hired a couple of PR people who helped me get on those particular like Fox or whatever, NBC.
Yeah.
And then once you're on one, sometimes someone else sees you.
Totally.
And will get you. So, but anyways, I hired PR people and they made it happen.
So you said you started to work with men mostly. So what is your niche? Who do you specifically work with now? Like, I know it's men over 40, but like, is it specifically men who are in the finance industry or just super busy? Because everyone can say they're busy.
It's a great question. Mostly men in their 40s and 50s.
Okay.
Mostly who've got at least 10 pounds to lose. And as you probably know, if a guy thinks he's got 10 pounds, he could probably lose 20 or 30, right?
Yeah.
So I'm working with guys who struggle with their eating consistency mostly.
Okay.
That's the number one thing. Listen, if someone's too much body fat and is overweight, like, what's going on here? Well, there's probably some sort of eating challenge here. And so a lot of these guys, probably a little more than half, like, work out regularly. Some work out a lot, but they still don't get the results they want. And then some haven't exercised at all. So, but in terms of it's mostly busy executives.
Yeah.
That's kind of the core, kind of 40s, 50s, who are like, man, I've got a weight creep going. I've plateaued and things are going worse. Like, I've plateaued, but my body composition is getting worse over time. Those are kind of like a couple of the types of guys that we work with. But ultimately, it's to help these guys make a significant transformation, drop 10, 30, 40, even 50 pounds, some of these guys, and really feel lean, feel healthy, and feel fit so they can stay that way into their golden years. But ultimately, the mission is to empower busy professional men to achieve a lean, strong, and functionally fit body for life.
That's huge.
And it's empower is like the most important word in my opinion, because it's like, it's not just about like, hey, lose 30 pounds in 30 days and then yo-yo back. It's about, here are the habits, the strategies, and the mindset so that you can do it long-term and you don't need me anymore. You don't need to be dependent on me.
Yeah, that's great. So let's dive into that. Some of these strategies, some of these things that can help men, because I know from my end that one of the biggest struggles is staying consistent with their nutrition, right? And fighting off cravings. So why don't you give us some tips on ways to stay consistent or ways to fight off let's just start with staying consistent with the nutrition. What is your plan like?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so for years, we sold, kind of low price kind of programs people could do anywhere around the world.
Yeah.
And I did it for a long time. The challenge is that, accountability is so critical. And it's like, when I was a personal trainer, like 100% of my clients got results because I was like in there in person being like, hey dude, he's showing up. You got to look at my face. You know what I'm saying? Totally. And so for some people, external accountability is like the game changer. Like without that, it's hard for them to make that shift. And they're like, it's not that important, because naturally in life, there are fluctuations and there are vicissitudes. Like maybe in a moment, in a clarity of thought, you're like, okay, I've got to make a change. I've got to make an improvement. But then life happens. Things don't go as you planned. And that's where accountability can make a huge impact. And I think accountability, and that's how our whole building business has evolved. And is we went from like selling these kind of relatively like simple kind of programs that people did on their own to more of a one-on-one coaching experience with a system. So it's like the system, but you've got one-on-one coaching guidance for accountability. So in my opinion, I'm kind of talking my own book here, but that helps a lot of people stay consistent. And by the way, professional athletes have accountability. Everyone who's good at anything has accountability, if you really think about it. And I also think simplicity is also incredibly important. A lot of people make, as you know, a lot of people make it really complicated. It's like, dude, you can get in good shape. I mean, just doing something for like, even like 10, 15 minutes, like, or even with the eating, making it as simple as possible, because then it's easier to implement and stick to.
Right.
So that's a long-winded answer, but
that's good. That's great. Yeah. So do you have like a simple meal strategy that you can share, or like a philosophy that you can share?
Right. So the philosophy is really go-to meals, keeping it simple. It's like, okay, let's lock in some really good go-to meals for breakfast that are simple, easy to prepare and fast. let's lock in some for lunch. And okay, you don't have your go-to meals at dinner every day because you actually have a life and you got family and you're not going to eat your own thing. Well, let's create some nutrition guidelines for guys to follow. Maybe it's, let's just say, unlimited veggies, as much as you want. Handful of like a fistful of, let's just say, unprocessed carbs, ideally, and then a fistful of protein, and maybe kind of oils and spice as much as you want, but like oils to taste.
Yeah.
Maybe just create like a simple, clean template that guides people. It's like guardrails. If you give a man an inch, he'll take a mile. Right? It's like, give him some guardrails. Here are some guardrails. Here's the deal. And I should also say we either recommend significantly limiting or eliminating snacks.
For sure. See, I'm like, listen, I want to premise everybody who's listening to this. We've never spoken before, Mark and I, but you're probably hearing some things that are kind of familiar. If you're listening, if you've done any, because I also have go-to meals. I make these guys create go-to meals every week, right? So it's like, okay, what are your go-to proteins? It's a little bit different, but the word go-to, like, you know what I mean? To make it simple so you don't have to try to like, every day I got to figure some out. No, what is going to be all of the go-to proteins you're eating this week? Go-to carbs, go-to healthy fats. And of course, like you said, vegetables and fruits are a little bit loose because they don't last all week. But, if you can figure those out, you can just go to the store, that's what I do. I just go to the store, buy exactly what I'm going to eat that week. My wife and I do the same thing. Then we cook it all. And then, boom, there we are. We have our go-to, like the proteins, carbs, and then the rest we just kind of fill in. But, yeah, I love that the way that the strategy is really good. Cool. Really, really good. What about cravings? Because, let's say that your guy comes in and he's working with somebody and he's got the go-tos and he's not snacking, which probably he was snacking before or what have you. And now he's getting cravings, right? Because he's working out more. So, you're burning more calories, you're working out more, body probably needs more carbs, more sugars, but they're still eating the same thing that they were before. They're a little afraid. Cravings. What do you do for cravings? What can these guys do for cravings?
Yeah. So it depends like kind of what they're craving. And so oftentimes it just falls away.
Right.
It sounds kind of crazy because what we do, one of the most important things we do is we're like, okay, what's your goal? We set a clear target and we create the reasons why it's important. And we literally work with people to do this. It's not like they're, and like, oh, I want to be a good example for my kids. Like that's an okay reason. Mm-hmm. It's like every guy says that, but like, why don't they follow through? And it's like, no, I want to be an outstanding example for my friends and family as a lean and fit man who is active and exercise regularly. Like that can move the needle.
Right.
When you see that and like experience that. So for a lot of our clients, they tend to just fade away, a lot of those cravings, because they're like, that's not what I want.
Right.
Like I want this. Here's my goal. Here are my reasons. Like I'm focused on this. These cravings tend to fall away. Of course, for some people, cravings are there and you tend to kind of reflect on it and manage it and become aware of it. So one thing we do is we have a very simple daily habit tracker. And it's not like super crazy where you got to put in every single ingredient, which most dudes would be like, this is awful. I did it again. I've done it for a few days. I think it's incredibly valuable. I really do. But like much more than that, it's like, what's the point? Anyways, so we have a daily habit tracker. So guys become aware of what they're doing. Because if you're not aware, then you're not unable to change it, right? If you're unaware of a problem, how can you change it?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyways, I think that's really important in terms of like dealing with cravings is becoming aware of the cue, routine, reward, like the habit loop. Typically there's a cue, routine, reward, and that can help someone break free from it once they become aware of it.
Love it. Yeah.
There might be other deeper stuff going on, but that can help a lot of people.
Sure. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Okay, so the nutrition's good. You got a simple nutrition. We have ways to fight cravings. What about the workouts? What kind of workouts do you suggest that these guys do?
Yeah, it's a great question. I've gotten deep into exercise over the years. I know you have as well. I've got like probably 10 certifications at this point. It's like crazy. All various kettlebell, barbell, bodyweight, all these kind of crazy certifications, which is fun. Like that's part of the beauty of being down the fitness career is like you continually learn. But in terms of workouts, like what we recommend and what I've been doing is just, they're called strength circuits. The concept, the idea is like, I've done kind of like supersets that's what I've done kind of personally. I've also done triceps, but with our clients, and what I recommend is we just do a strength circuit. We just choose 5 exercises. Typically, in terms of the body movements, I know there are many ways of defining how to describe body movements, but basically we'll just do like, leg, push, pull, core type of framework,
Sure.
maybe even plyo, and we'll build that in. So everything's full body. So all full body workouts, strength circuits. We do a warm up, a few rounds of 5 exercises, and then a cool down, done and done. I literally coach people, like I'm the dude in the video, coaching people through it so they're really engaged. And it's just simple, right? It's just simple, clean, and that's what works.
Now, are they using weights and are they doing this in the gym? Are they doing it at home? What do you prefer?
Yeah, like a good chunk of guys are doing it at home. I'd say probably like 60%, especially since COVID, probably more. And some guys do it at the gym because they just want to get out of the house. So you can do it either place, and all you really need are dumbbells. Pair of 3 dumbbells, light, medium, heavy. Some guys have the adjustable dumbbells. I've definitely considering different types of equipment and like what will work best for now. As you know, the one advantage of weights is you can stimulate muscle really quickly. Yeah. So it's a very efficient way of like stimulating the body.
Sure.
So yeah, that's how it is.
I like it. I like those. I like the circuits, metabolic training. That's my go-to.
Exactly.
I love all of that. Specifically as guys are getting older because they're suffering from muscle loss, they're suffering from low testosterone. So these shorter workouts are going to help with growth hormones, going to help with testosterone production, going to help with fighting sarcopenia. So yeah, that's awesome, man. Let's talk about abs and core. Do you add that in there? Is that like, how do these guys build, or is that something that you focus on at all?
Yeah. So my perspective is the whole body is one muscle.
Okay.
Like the core in seriously, like I think the core should be every exercise. Like every exercise is a core exercise.
Right.
If they're doing it properly. But we do have core as one of the kind of parts of our framework. So we have at least one core exercise in every single workout.
Cool.
And from my perspective, we also have core kind of in the warm up as well. So the core, like activating the core, it's really like it's the core of the body, right? It helps integrate the upper body and the lower body, but it really should be in everyone should feel their core in every exercise.
For sure. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt.
That's my perspective.
Yeah. No, I like that. And the fact that you have that core exercise, because you said you built like the 5 exercises or movements or whatever. So adding that in there is great. So you're hitting everything, push, pull,
exactly.
Core. Yeah.
Nicely.
So let's talk about, is there any recovery? Like, what are your thoughts on recovery? What are your thoughts on mobility, yoga, like all that stuff? Is that something that you believe in, or you think that guys should be doing? What are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question. You kind of have to meet people where they are, because some people might be really helpful. Some guys not. I personally, I love yoga. I do it at least once a week. Yeah. I've been doing it for years and years and years. Like I have strength circuits Monday, yoga Tuesday, strength circuits Wednesday. I do like conditioning today, maybe like some swimming, maybe some like running, or like I'll do something. So, and then Friday I do strength circuits. So I kind of do something a little bit each day, but a lot of guys, they just do the 30 minutes 3 days a week, and that's what works for them.
Okay.
And it kind of depends. It really depends on the person,
right.
I would say, in terms of where they're at, because just losing the weight and feeling good about themselves, like that's huge. And then kind of continuing on, they'll continue to evolve.
Right.
But like the problem that we're solving is like, there's a weight problem here.
Yeah.
And there's a loss of control and loss of trust problem. And we help them get back on the wagon, get lean and fit. And like from there, they can evolve as they want.
Okay. I see. That's good. And I guess that's why you have it's important to have that accountability, that personal touch, right? Because that personal touch, your coaches or trainers and you will be able to like put something together that fits where that guy is, right?
Exactly. Right. And one more really quick thing. It's like, because it's only 3 times a week, it's 3 times a week and they're full body and we're not doing too much.
Yeah.
Like you're fresh.
Totally. Like
there's nothing to recover. Like you don't really need much for recovery. The whole idea is like the workout gives you energy. It feels great. You're not like a sore, like you're not able to walk. I know we've both done workouts where you're not able to walk for like a week or two.
Still.
So like we don't have that philosophy. It's like full body. And there is, by the way, there's some stretching in the workout as well.
Perfect.
So it's like, hey, in 30 minutes, you can get cardiovascular strength and flexibility in just literally 30 minutes. And so like the whole framework almost builds in some recovery as well.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's great. Specifically for these old guys, because as they get older, man, the recovery starts to slow down. As you know, right? So what are your thoughts on supplementation? Do you guys have do you guys go into that? Do your guys ask you about that? Because I know my guys always ask me about, well, actually, I'm at first, they don't generally ask me too much about supplementation because they don't really know about supplementation. I find that men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, late 30s, specifically if they've been disconnected from working out, they don't really know much about supplementation. Just like they know protein, but they don't even know about protein because there's so much information about protein, different types of protein. And then I also find that when they're married, their wives kind of, the people, so I shouldn't say their wives, the people that are in their circle will tell them, oh, you need to take pea protein or plant protein or this protein. And when they come to me and they start talking like that, it's kind of like, oh, hey, listen, let's back up and figure out who told you that first. What do they look like? What is their life like? And then, of course, what are you struggling with as a man in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s? What do you need? Because what you need is different from a 40-year-old woman who's menopausal, different from a 20-year-old girl who wants, a booty, different from a 20-year-old guy who wants to get jacked and look good at the club. Like, we're a different species. So what are your thoughts on the supplementation side for men this age group, 40s, 50s?
Yeah, that's great. I don't think it's... I understand like everyone has their own differing kind of goals, right? My own, it's kind of like a principle I have where I generally, like a supplement is like, what's the word mean? It means like a supplement to what you're doing. In other words, it's like, are you doing like what you should be doing? Like the sleep, the diet, the exercise, all that kind of stuff, right? Like if someone's not doing that, like a supplement is like putting a Band-Aid on a broken elbow. Right. It's not going to help anything. And so my own perspective is the only supplement I take right now is a whey protein. I used to kind of take a bunch of different stuff, but I just, when I say a bunch of different stuff, maybe I'm taking creatine, like multivitamin, like fish oil, etc. But yeah, like I kind of go with how I feel. Like I eat plenty of vegetables. I've got a nice, well-rounded diet. And if there's something off in my blood work, then I'll get it looked into. So my opinion is like, if there's a problem, like you can address it potentially with supplementation to help kind of fill in the gaps. So I see it as like, if you have a hole, attempt to fill in the gaps. And then for some people, there's nutritional insurance concept where it's like, you might have some random holes. You can take something like maybe it's a greens powder or multivitamin can help. But me personally, and just in terms of the clients, like the only thing that we really recommend at this time is kind of protein supplement, like a whey protein supplement. And eventually, again, we were like, hey, check with your doctor if you have any deficiencies.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's good. And again, I got to remember that it's more like your business model and how you help your clients are like, okay, we're going to get you like that is it like 3 months, 6 months? Like, or is it like, is there nothing? Obviously everybody's different, but it's like, okay, listen, in 3 months, we're going to help you lose up to 10 pounds or you know what I mean? Like, is that we're helping you get super fit very quickly so that you can take that next step in your health and fitness?
Right. So right now, the way it's structured is we have a 12-week body transformation system. And in that 12 weeks, guys go from where they are to achieving their goal, typically 10 to 30 pounds in 12 weeks. Not like crazy, but they're losing a little bit more than a pound a week. And a lot of these guys, like we just had a guy who lost 33 pounds after a 15-year plateau. He hadn't changed his weight in 15 years. In 12 weeks, he lost 17 pounds. In another like 6 months, he lost an extra like 16. So like we help people like make that major shift, develop the positive habits so that when they're done, they can keep on going. So it's not like the business model. It's like we don't have anything on the back end as of now. Like it'd be cool to have a lifestyle to help keep guys in their game. But like for where things are now, it's like I've been so focused on this transformation system. Okay. And it's a ballsy, big intention. Like we want to help people make a dramatic transformation in their mind, their body, and their health so they can sustain it long term.
I saw that guy actually that
Oh,
just lost
cool.
already. Came in my email because I. Well, if
Oh,
you're listening to this,
cool.
guys, right now, make sure near the end, Mark's gonna share his site and get on his email list because you have some really great transformation stories and some great inspirational stories, right? Because the thing is, when guys come in, I mean, I don't know about you, but do you feel like I know we talked about the trust thing, but do you feel like a lot of guys feel like they don't have any hope, like it's almost impossible because they look at your body and they're like, okay, well, listen, Mark, I'm not going to be you, but sometimes they like when you don't have hope and or you know what I mean, because again, when people look at us, we're like the unattainable kind of thing, right? We're like, well, he works out 6 times a week. He eats perfectly well, which is not true, but that's what they tell themselves, right? But do you find that like when they see all these other guys transform, that it kind of gives them a little bit of hope, like gives them like, okay, I can do this guy can do it, then I can do this. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, totally. Sure. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, and the people around you too. Like, I mean, you want to try to build a support group, and now you're building a support group with people around you, but those people around you have heard you sing the same song and dance, right? So it's like, okay, well, hey man, 2 weeks ago you just said you were going to stop smoking, or 2 months ago, wait, what happened to you were doing CrossFit 2 months ago? What happened there? Yeah, kind of jacked up my shoulder. Yeah, oh, that was too hard. Like, so I get it that I understand why they feel like there's no hope, but I also understand why um, a lot of guys find it difficult to find that community or find that like support. Because I know that with my guys, they're always saying, I'm not getting support from this guy, or I'm not getting support from this friend, or this person doesn't understand, or my wife is, thinking that I'm getting in shape because I'm trying to hook up with another woman, or like I get all of that stuff, and I'm like, no, no, no. They're just doing that because your wife probably feels that's internal for your wife. And number two, your friends want to keep you down, right? There's the crab in the bucket, right? Like, wait a minute, if this guy's getting in shape and I'm not getting in shape, and I know I need to get in shape, I can't let this guy go. I can't let this guy. He's gonna have new friends. He's gonna have new routine. He's not. We can't go out drinking. So I think it's also important to have a community of people around you who are on the same journey. Do you guys have something like that set up, or do you guys have like a group or what have you where everyone's kind of like, all right, we're all talking the same language here. Okay. Huge. Yeah. Yeah. Come Mm, totally. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Oh yeah, that's I love the groups. The way you have those mini groups too. That yeah, that's so powerful. And if you're listening, it is extremely powerful to get connect with people who are on the same journey. You don't have to like leave everybody else in your life and just focus on those people. But if you're focused on something, and it's going to be a difficult trail because it's not easy. Like we can talk like it's an easy transformation, but it's not easy, which is why, Mark, you're talking about like the accountability to keep you accountable to, and then all of a sudden you're going to get that momentum, and you're going to get that belief, and you're going to learn, and be empowered to know, okay, I already know how to eat now. I know how to eat. I learned that through here. Oh, I know how to work out. And, maybe I want to take it to another level because now I already know how to do these workouts. Now I have like that confidence to go and do something else, next level. And that, age isn't just a number because we can, it's how our bodies are, right? How our bodies are. Um, yeah, that's great. What are your thoughts on um the mental health issue, the mental state of I want to not mental state. I'm trying to say here, like, okay, so we know what's going on with men. We're not getting political here, but I'm just trying to we're gonna talk the truth right now. We know that men are the suppression of men, specifically North America. I don't know what's going on in other parts of the world, but right here, right now, it's not a great thing to be a male. It's not a great thing to talk about testosterone, and that also puts a lot more pressure, but also just exacerbates a problem of like, oh, I need to be like this and not say anything and kind of not work out, and you know what I mean. Like, what are your guys coming in with when it comes to that toxic masculinity and all this bullshit that's out there? Yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Mm. Right. 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 Yeah. 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 State. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Causing a lot of depression, a lot of suicide, a lot of I'm yeah. So yeah, you're not seeing that on your end, which is great. I think that that's awesome. My end, on the other hand, is we talk about this almost every week. It is a big thing because they're seeing it with when they're taking their kids to certain places, or when they're in their corporate world. It's like it's changing all of a sudden. It's like, wait a minute, like, because you're right. Like when we grew up, like that wasn't even a thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like we knew, okay, well, like this is what provide, protect, procreate. That is what we're put on this earth to do. So these are our roles. These are things that we want to do as a male. We're doing it not because we're trying to be toxic or whatever. We're doing it because we want to provide for our family, for our kids, right? We want to be the best husband, father, etc. Right? So, but yeah, we're seeing it over here, and it's really I'm seeing a lot of more and more depression coming into the program, and working with, like, I train trainers on how to train men over 40, and they're coming in telling me about their clients who are, yes, who are suffering from because men don't tell you, right? Men are not going to stand up and start talking about all of their mental issues that they have, all of the struggles they're going with. Are they burnt out? Are they stressed? Are they depressed? They're not going to tell you face to face unless they have trust. And so when you build a community where there's trust, all of a sudden all these things start to come out. It's like, oh, okay. So this is anyways, that's what I'm seeing on my end. But it's good that you're not seeing it because that means it's not prevalent. But yeah, the guys that we work with or just that are in the brotherhood and I see more and more, just like I try to give them a safe place to speak because we need to talk about it more, right? Because I didn't talk about it back when I was 39, turning 40. I went through, suicide, depression, addiction, all of that stuff because, I was struggling with some things I didn't even know that was happening to my body. I didn't talk to anybody, but I should have. That's the point, right? So, yeah, but that's good though. So, men, that's great. So, man, this has been great. I love what you've built. I love, no pun intended, built lean. I love the 12-week transformation because that's really focus, right? Sometimes people need I need a start and a stop, or not a start and a stop. I want to see the finish line, right? So the 12-week gives them a finish line. You have that accountability. Is there any words of wisdom that you want to leave the listeners before we go? Yeah. I love it. I agree 100%, man. Even in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, man, I see it every day. Like I'm sure I see it every day. Guys transforming their bodies, they're coming in, they're like, okay, I know that it's possible, but for them, it's probably not even possible. And then a year later, 6 months later, 90 days later, it's like a brand new person on the inside and the outside. So that's great, guys. How do people reach you? How do people get connected with Built Lean? How do people get in your 12-week transformation program? Yeah. And that's a builtlean.com. Builtlean. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I want to make sure that people who are listening, I'm a big believer in the one-on-one, for those who kind of like struggle. I don't have a one-on-one program with me. Mine, I'm on the other side. I'm like, I want to, the world. I want the world, but I think the one-on-one is very great for accountability. And so, yeah, I definitely go to builtlean.com, sign up. It's a free, just having that free conversation with somebody, right? That is enough to kind of like, if there's no obligation, right? This is not like you're going to buy swampland in Florida and then you go to this thing and they lock the doors on you and you can't leave. Or you go to one of those marketing things and it's like, hey man, can I leave? Nope, can't leave until this is done. No, it's not like that. It's not like that. It's just okay, awesome. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, Mark. We'll talk again for sure. Whatever new thing that you have coming up, make sure that you come on here and share it with the listeners and the guys who watch this. And I appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon.